Good day, everyone. We are the group 2. So, for today's video, we're gonna talk about the self from perspective of anthropology. But before we start, I would like to say that this video is for educational use only. My group and I allowed our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ordines, to use this as educational materials. So let's begin. So, what is anthropology? So, anthropology is the field of the social sciences that focuses on the study of man. This does not pertain only to one aspect of man, but rather on the totality of what it means to be a human. So there are four subfields of anthropology. So the first one is archaeology or archaeologist. So archaeologist is a scientist who studies artifacts in order to discover how these people live their lives. So if you don't know what is antifacts, artifacts are tools and objects that past people have made. Um, they focus in the past and how it may contributed to the present conducted their daily lives. So we have also Homo sapiens. So Homo sapiens, they have adapted and gained dominance over all Earth's creatures. The most important aspect of a human rather is a nature which is survival. The second one is biological anthropologist. So biological anthropologist is the biological aspects of man to how human beings might have evolved from their early forms. Or we have also biological anthropologists. So it focuses primarily on how human earth's environments. The third one is the linguistic anthropologist. Linguistic anthropologist aims to discover how language is used to create ideas and concepts and to promote social changes. So language. Language can words, sounds, symbols, writings, and signs. Language means to discover a group's manners of social interactions and his word viewer. The fourth one, or the last one, is cultural anthropologists. Cultural anthropologists are interested in knowing what make a group's manner of living particular to the group and forms an essential part of the member's personal and social identity. We have culture. Culture means to describe as a group of people way of life includes their behavior, belief, values, and symbols. So let's talk about symbols. Symbols are words, gestures, picture, or object that have recognized meaning in a particular culture. Um, it could also be a shape or a copied by other cultural who find them also fitting in their own culture. We have also heroes. Heroes are a person from the past or present. We have characteristics that is important in our culture. They may they may be real or fictitious. For example, Jose Rizal is a real hero while Darna is a fictional. We have also rituals. Rituals Our activities may be religions or social participated in a group of peoples for the fulfillment of desired object. For example, religious ceremony like baptism, social ceremonies like birthdays. So the last one we're gonna talk about is the values. So values considered being the core of everything culture. So that is the four subfields of anthropology. The next one we're gonna talk about the self.
What is self? Self is a notion of person's individual identity, and the concept of being an individual separates from other people. It is the understanding of one's own personality or essence. Self is also the experience of one's own individual consciousness, including the thoughts, feeling, and con- and conceptions that makes up the unique individual. There are three aspects of self: private self, collective self, and public self. What is private self? Private self is an individual's innermost self that is only known to them. It is not visible or available to others. It consists of persons' private thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that they keep in it to themselves. It is the core of an individual identity, and it is usually hidden from the public eyes. According to Harry Triandis, private self refers to what you think about yourself. For example, you think you are a loyal friend, smart, etc. What is collective self? Collective self is concept that refers to the identities, values, and experience shaped by members of a group or collective. It is the collective identity of a group that shapes the way the group interacts with other and the world around them. Collective self is often used to describe the shape, experience, beliefs, and values of a particular group, such as a nation, religion, group, or social class. According to Harry Triandis, collective self refers to what you think your group in you're in groups. Those groups you are a member of things about you, what your family, friends, class, etc. Think of you are example. What is public self? Public self is the version of ourselves that we present to the world. It is the image that we show to others, typically through our behavior, appearance, and attitude. It is persona that we maintain in public settings. According to Harry Triandis, refer to what people other than your in groups what thinks about you. Um, those are what your neighbor, barangay, etc. thinks about you.
There are four types of culture. First is homogeneous culture. The second is heterogeneous culture. And the third is individualism culture. And the last is collectivist culture. What is homogeneous culture? Homogeneous culture is a type of culture found in a group or society where the values, beliefs, and behaviors are similar among its members. This type of culture is often limited to a specific region or ethnicity, and it is generally seen as a representation of a society's shared values and norms. According to Harry Triandis, Homogeneous, a type of culture where people observe the same norms, beliefs, and values. Tight culture is related because of strong mechanism in making sure members follow the cultural norm. Found in rural areas in provinces, the community shapes who you are. The next is, what is heterogeneous? Heterogeneous culture is a type of culture that is composed of people from a variety of different backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, nationalities, and or other social identities. This type of culture is often seen in larger metropolitan areas or cities, and it is often associated with increased diversity and tolerance. According to Harry Triandis, heterogeneous a type of culture wherein people have diverse cultural backgrounds. Loose culture is related because outside influence can easily come in, found in urban areas, in cities, and the influence of internet, television, or other forms of mass media influences most. We live in impressively heterogeneous communities with migration, gender, ethnic class, and aesthetic tensions. It is also obvious that we live in societies with fragmentation, violence, and inequality. The question is why to continue thinking and talking of society or community if we try to use some classical concepts like culture. We can generate a misunderstanding if culture supposes homogeneity and equality between its members. It is easy to view contemporary societies as the opposite of any culture in this sense.
The third one is individualism culture. What is individualism culture? Individualism culture is a culture in which individuals are expected to look out for themselves and their immediate family rather than for the collective good of the community or society. This type of culture emphasizes the rights and importance of the individual and encourages people to think independently and take initiative. It also places a strong value on personal autonomy and freedom of choice. According to Harry Triandis, individualism culture usually found again in urban areas because people often pursue personal goals. People usually do what they want to do. They seldom depend on what others tell them to do or obey. Private self dominates here, usually found in heterogeneous or loose cultures. So, the fourth one or the last one is about the collectivist culture. What is collectivist culture? Collectivist culture is a term used to describe a culture that is driven by the collective group rather than individualism. This type of culture values the collective group over the individual, and it is focused on maintaining the group's well-being and collective goals. This type of culture is found in many countries, such as China, India, Japan, and various African countries. Collectivist cultures place a strong emphasis on family, community, and loyalty to the group. According to Harry Triandis, collectivist culture, people pursue common goals. Homogeneous or tight culture is similar to this. Collective self dominates here.
Allocentric self. Allocentric self. A self will result to this if one always thinks about what other people say. You always sample that collective and public elements or part of yourself. You must your parents. You have a self-monitoring. You always think or mind what others says about you and consider this. I the eccentric self. You tend to let yourself not to be controlled by them or by others. You, of, you often sample that private parts of or elements of yourself. You tend to make your own decisions. You have a low self-monitoring. You are able to speak, argue, and speak your mind. You make decisions based on how you see or define what you are. The Filipino embedded in pantayong pananaw, labas, loob, at lalim. The Filipino self is a concept that encapsulates the collective identity of Filipino both in Philippines and abroad. It is an identity that is deeply rooted in the culture, history, and values of the Filipino people. It is a self-concept that is defined by sin of nationalism and pride in the Filipino nation, as well as commitment to the preservation of Filipino culture, language, and heritage. The Filipino self also encompasses the idea of being a Filipino in a global community and recognizing the importance of engaging with other cultures while still remaining true to one's own culture identity. The Filipino self in complex and dynamic concept, and one that constantly evolving.
The Filipino self-embedded in culture pantayong pananaw labas. The Filipino self-embedded in a culture of pantayong pananaw, the equal view mentality, which promotes a sense of fairness and justice in society. This philosophy encourages individuals to look at situations from various angles and to with all perspectives before making decisions. This type of thinking allows from a balanced approaching to life and encourage citizens to respect one another's opinion and beliefs. It also promotes the idea of collective responsibility, which is essential in a democratic society. Additional, pantayong pananaw also allows from a greater appreciation for the country's diverse cultural heritage, which is seen in numerous festival costumes and language. This type of thinking allows Filipinos to embrace their national identity and understanding their place. Thank you.
The Filipino self-embedded in a culture pantayong pananaw loob. The Filipino self is deeply rooted in the culture of pantayong pananaw loob, which is a Filipino term for having a balanced and unbiased perspectives. This concept is of having open-minded and non-judgmental outlook on life is deeply ingrained in Filipino culture. It is a traditional way to viewing for the world of emphasize understanding and compassion and respect for the opinion of others. This concept encourages Filipinos to embrace diversity and to embrace the difference between cultures and beliefs. It is also a reminder to be mindful of one own basis in and strive to see things from other perspectives. Pantayong pananaloob can be seen in many aspects of Filipino life, such as literary art, and even in everyday conversation. It is a way of life of that many Filipinos strive to live by.
The Filipino self embedded in culture through pantayong pananaw lalim, which is Filipino philosophy that emphasizes the importance of understanding events and situations from the multiple perspectives. The philosophy encouraged Filipinos to consider the views of others, especially those that may differ from their own, and be open to different experience and interpretation of their culture. It helps foster a sense of community and respect for diversity. It also helps to ensure that everyone's voice counts and that her opinions are taken. Encourage Filipinos to be open to various experience and perspective of their culture and find harmony and balance those lives.